Yeah.
Understood it.
Heavenly Father, we pray that you'd be with us now during our meeting. Guide us and lead us. All these things I pray in Jesus' precious name. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we will have roll call. Warren Fleetwood. Present. Ken Montgomery.
Present.
Mary Key.
Here.
Mr. President, we have a quorum.
Excellent. We'll begin things with our approval of the minutes. I'll entertain a motion for the approval of the minutes.
I'll make that motion.
Motion made. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
In a second, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. And approval of the claims. I'll read the claims. Everyone in attendance. CAW 1, $14,654.59. Jury check replacement, $17.34. Payroll correction, $720. Payroll, $341,912.67. Additional payroll, $71.76. Payroll deduction, $163.70. Payroll deductions, $154,879.14. Health insurance, $433,656. Lit distributions, $547,739. And SWETA and the welfare school excise allocation, $696,443.38. Fines and fees for the state, $25,548.50. County general, $242,848.80. Courts, $2,553.43. Highway, $43,120.46. Sheriff, $19,152.97. ACH, $40,579.09. And lastly, CAW 2, $8,598.05. I would entertain a motion to approve our claims.
I'll make that motion.
Motion made. Do we have a second?
Second.
Made and second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Very good. On to old business. Highway Department, I believe Superintendent Brent Johnson is here to discuss with us a request for some equipment. Mr. Johnson, how you doing?
Doing good. So I've talked to all three of you. So our plan is that on the loader that we have now, we're spending a lot of money on it. So I've discussed with you guys about a new loader. It's a John Deere. It's going through the Sourcewell. They're going to give us $60,000 for the loader we have. And then the end of the year, we'll get that. What we have left over in the budget this year for equipment, we'll pay. And then it'll be around $90,000 is what we need at the first of the year. And then after that, we're planning on looking at a tractor also. I talked to you about that, but I told Mary that I'm getting another quote tomorrow on that. So that'll be a discussion after I get that quote. So I'm here to ask your approval to go ahead and get that purchase started. Because if you guys agree, we can order it tomorrow.
$150,000 purchase, 60,000 credit approximately.
It's around 145.
And you said it's on Sourcewell. It is on Sourcewell. I know we talked about that previously.
Well, I tell you, I'll make that motion to go ahead with that, to get it in the works, because it'll take that long to get it in.
They say that if it comes in, it'll be probably around November, and then we would get to use it for that whole month, and then,
Actually, I'm surprised it's,
yeah.
well,
That's what I say, that's what they said.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just something that we kind of need as we start to spend a lot of money. It's been there for a while, so with your permission, that's what we'd like to do.
Do we have the exact figures for this?
I gave it to, I think Kenny and I think Jason, I think had it, I think.
Could
I
you,
had the paper.
for the record, could you,
You gave it to me. You think I got it last meeting?
I thought, I know I left it with Kenny or something.
Yeah.
So, I think it was like 145.
and then you said 60,000 on the
Yeah.
Yes.
trade-in, okay.
It's got a load of hours on it right now, so.
Yeah, just email it to me and copy Mike.
And we can put it in the record next meeting then.
Yeah, they can approve tonight not to exceed 150,000 purchase price. So if you want to vote on that or motion for that.
Kenny, would you like to just sort of maybe readdress and include not to exceed $150,000 for the loader? And
We can do it that way. I mean,
okay.
Yeah,
we know what the price was
I
on
think
it.
it was 145, 261.
Right.
I think it was.
I think it was 145,000.
150 will cover us for sure.
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Well, Kenny, if you'll make that motion or so move and.
I'll make that motion. We do it that way that,
Okay.
I'll second.
We've got a motion made and a second for approval of not to exceed $150,000 for a loader for the Gibson County Highway Department. All right, thank you, and appreciate you.
take a
We
vote.
need to take a vote.
Would all in favor signify by saying aye?
Aye.
Aye. Very good, thank you. Next up, we have the awarding of our paving bids, and I'm going to defer this to Mr. Spindler.
I received an email this morning from Matt. I'll just read it. He says, I've reviewed the paving bids. Both bids were complete and he recommends awarding it to the lowest, which is JH Rudolph on both projects. The project ending in numerics 21 is for $1,243,107.01. Again, that's $1,243,107.01. And project ending in last two digits of 16 is for $613,202.22. $613,202.22. If the commissioners will vote on that, accepting his recommendation, there's documents to sign at the conclusion of the meeting.
Also move on going with the engineers.
Got a motion made and we have a second to go with the engineer's recommendation for the awarding of the paving of the bids to JH Rudolph. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Update on the Gibson County Correctional Facility, Mr. Sanders, our owner's representative.
Thanks, Warren. Want to give you an update today. We're kind of at a point, but it's a good point. Just going backwards, the architect worked with the sheriff and staff. They, captured the information. They developed a space program that the sheriff the range of what we're talking about. And now they're trying to configure this space structurally within a building format that will take on the different site options for the jail on the existing site. The site options, that they're looking at, that the architect is developing, we're probably at 6 different ways they could be configured on the site. And none of the options that we're trying to develop and have developed will require the purchase of any additional property. There would be options, but we're trying to restrain, the cost of nursing costs. I think there will be some viable options, that won't require that. Once we kind of get these honed down a little bit, they will continue and finalize the estimates, the schematic design report, and how it would conceptual layout would work. They'll get back to the sheriff and follow up with him and staff and say, okay, here's the program. And based on how configured on the site, this is how, the housing pod, the offices, the kitchen, water, how this all fit together. And then targeting, bringing that back to, after the sheriff has looked at it and agreed with it, bring it back to you probably your first meeting in July and say, this is the schematic, the concept, here's how it's going to set, here's the general cost. And so, along with that, and bringing simultaneous with that, I met with you on May 3rd, and we talked about the project delivery method and made a recommendation that we continue to move forward with the construction management role. And I gave, the reasons why, the big reason is, if we do a design, bid, and build process, we got completely design, completely bid, and for some reason, it will be over budget. We have to go back. We don't have that luxury. The CM process engages the CM at this point in time. And a great example would be, let's say we had 2 options for the site. And we said, here's one, and here's another one. The construction manager goes, this one would give me a better opportunity to start construction, no interruptions. I have a good laydown area, my equipment, my material, and I can save, I can save a couple of weeks and dollars off of my fee and my cost if this one would go. And so both will read with us and probably use that information to go to the best one. We're looking at construction managers that are currently working on some major projects. Some projects they're working on, just got a great report from one of the construction managers that their bids came in at like 1.3 million under budget. So we want to make sure we use that information to, there's good value savings on other projects. They know we'll incorporate that into our design as we do the design development. So made the recommendation on May 3rd to move forward with the CM firm. We solicited RFPs and requests for qualifications from 10 different firms. I've got a relationship with the executive director of Department of Corrections, making sure that these are the top firms that he has seen build details on the area. So we communicate with all of them, and we got our RFPs and their qualifications submitted back. And 3 top firms have came out of it. Something to share with the group here, as you all know from the news, the construction world is exploding. Construction is going on, and some of the firms, we are so busy right now, we don't want to shortchange your project. If we took your project, we couldn't give you maybe our 18 or the best bang for your buck, so to speak. So they decline for those reasons. Some of them, this is, we're plus or minus $20 million project. They couldn't get the bonding for that. So, and that means we need a company that's financially solvent. So the 3 top firms that we got, all done major projects. They're all working on jail projects now. I mean, we want now to move forward with an interview, presentation, selection process using the steering committee. It was established a couple of weeks ago. A couple of meetings ago will be the selection team, and we will try to start that process next week with formal recommendation to you by the end of the month of the 1st of July. That will time up right with getting schematic design done, having a construction manager come on board, and we'll start moving this thing forward. I feel we're on schedule. I feel we're tracking very well. I think we'll have a good work with Sim too, that works that showing work and move right along. And so far, so good. There's hurdles to come up with pricing material these days, and I think we can do some strategies to lessen the impacts to go earlier and keep on that track. And There's nothing that has jumped out at me yet that says we're not going to move forward. But I should remain you. Expectation. Any questions? I just want to give that update. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Moving on to our Gibson Solar EDA. Mr.
So President Fleetwood, if you would step out here momentarily. It's been brought to my attention that President Fleetwood has a family member or has family that potentially would be offered an incentive from Tenaska. And considering that, even though I don't deem it to be a legal conflict of interest, for the appearance of not being improper or impropriety, and in consistency or being consistent with what council member Flug did, I am recommending that you abstain from this discussion and subsequent vote on the EDA.
Legally understand.
So with that, is there any discussion on the proposed EDA? And John, do we have anybody on there? Okay. Okay.
You just got me tonight.
Have at it. You have anything you want to present or just answer questions?
Everything that we just need the signatures that have the completed document that was worked greatly with you all for many months, and then we took it with the county council and reworked it financially. The abatement and all the packages that were created and numbers that many months and long hours put together there. That really came out really good for the county. So now we're back to just, we've obtained their signatures from the council. We just need your all's blessing to continue with what we started with you.
And so Tim Oakes and I have worked diligently with Tenaska and Tenaska's attorney. We've hammered this out. Lots of concessions were made on, I'd say both sides, but Tenaska was very cooperative in requests that we had made upon them. And both Tim and I are satisfied with the document that I believe has been provided to the two of you.
Yeah, I've read through the document and kept up on it all through the process and stuff. And I don't see there's anything wrong with it. So I would make a motion to sign it if
Yeah,
Kenny.
that's second to motion.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, the ayes have it, and the record should reflect that President Fleetwood abstained.
Yeah, we are talking this document that I have here
Yeah.
back from
Yeah,
May.
I'll
Okay.
forward these to,
Okay.
I still have to work with you on these. Mr. President, I have the two documents that we need to clarify on the Elliott project as far as the easements, to have a legal description. With all the paperwork and everything was getting shuffled, there was some clarity that needed to be taken care of on recorded at the courthouse. This is a legal description that requires your signatures on those. And that's all. Nothing's changing. It's just clarifying length, widths, and actual pin placement.
So for those of you that do not know, the commissioners the previous administration approved this, but the Tenaska outsourced the title work and they missed the full legal description. This is essentially just correcting that full legal description on the easement, more or less.
Yeah.
And that's what these are. It's just one will go to the courthouse and the other one is the one that's just held by them, but it takes, one will be notarized and the other one will just be the copy for you. Here. For you signing on this one and then they'll register that. And it's cut on 2 pages to print on the buy and
signature. Yeah, I'm just right here. Nope, that's not it.
It's hard to find them, right, with all the language.
Well, the by is there,
I see one here, but this is,
but it starts, it should be right here at the end, with the next page starting here, and it did not, this one is.
no, that one looks pretty
It
clear.
doesn't have the, doesn't require the notary.
This one here actually spells out commissioners, I believe.
There was
Whereas,
a first amendment.
that one's-
and then the second one.
I think that was clear.
Did you get, I think you were in on the same email. were you
Yes, I
not?
got both of them, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, just, I'd ask for a motion to approve the entering
Yeah.
into the corrected easement with signatures to follow.
I'll get the copy over,
Yeah,
or if you got,
It doesn't matter. either
I
way.
don't, well, I probably do have a physical copy.
This one is the, one of the corrected ones, but yeah, we
Fair
can
enough.
just get a motion.
to take care of. You also had requested some references, and Jared just said, you know, just a short note, we can't get it all packaged for you this evening, but those will be coming. Just to help, which we already have your vote, but to reassure you all, the projects are so new in Indiana and the Midwest that they're all under construction, but every one of Canasca's projects, and not Pike, Gibson, and Posey, already have purchasers of the electricity. And sometimes that is a huge hurdle in itself to get and obtain before you're ever even move forward. And then a lot of your people that are leasing, you all as county officials want some assurity of how strong these projects really are financially and the livelihood of them. But between ours and Gibson County, NIPSCO, Northern Indiana Power, supply company has a couple of ours. CenterPoint has Posey County, Hoosier Energy has Knox, and then Indiana Municipal Power Agency has the Pike County. So all of those are Indiana power companies, our electricity will stay here. Just one more thing, keeping it home, keeping it here, to make sure nothing just goes off, and we're living with the power that's making somebody else. So we will get you some references of our western states, that we can get you. It's just hard once you turn these projects over to follow back up, with county officials, to get the operation and say, hey, are you still happy with the operation side of it?
Right.
We move on to different projects, but these we were gonna go own and keep. So we'll always, we may even be used as examples from people that said, hey, how's it working to get you down?
Rick, I've got clean copies of
Spoke
it.
with I spoke with an official from southeast Missouri County who's partnered with Tenaska, and he had very favorable things to say about the company and their reputation, their follow through. But I do intend to reach out to some more.
Sure. And we will get you those, so that it just helps you do your due diligence for everybody and seeing what's going on. You were able, you had a friendly copy, so he has both of those.
So I just asked for a motion to enter into two documents, one entitled First Amendment to Transmission Easement Option Agreement, and the other one is entitled Amendment to Memorandum of Transmission Easement Option Agreement. Do I hear a motion to that
Also
effect?
moved.
I have a motion. Do I hear a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Record reflect that the ayes have it. And if you can stick around, Rick, we'll have them signed at the end.
Sure.
I guess this is a question for both Rick and Jason, but in this document, it calls for a commissioner signature, not necessarily a president. Since I abstained, should I allow one of them to do it? Is that
Yes,
appropriate?
this is for the Elliott side, so it's totally.
Oh,
yeah, that's for the Elliott.
That's more than fine.
Okay.
It doesn't require a state president or an official.
Okay.
Just one of them.
You want to sign it, that's Elliot's side, so.
Anybody can sign it. Yeah, it was voted on. I guess the vice president probably would be the most appropriate, but either one could sign it.
It is in your territory, I guess, Mr. McHenry, so that'll work for you.
And Mr. Spindler, were there any other items in regards to the EDA that we need to cover? Or
No, that is it.
Commissioners, new business, appointment to the Princeton Planning Commission.
I sent out an email earlier today regarding this. There's been, as I understand it, there's 2 appointees from the commissioners. The other appointment, the one that will remain, is Randy Scales. And I would ask for a second appointment. Randy and the previous appointee were both within the 2-mile radius of the city of Princeton corporate limits. So that is kind of the qualifications, is to be a resident or within that 2-mile radius. And I understand, Mary, you may.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm in the
do
2-mile radius. I'm practically in the 2-foot radius. And I'll be glad to fulfill that position, right, for now,
Yeah, that's great.
I don't have a problem with it.
Okay,
So do I have a motion to appoint Mary Key to the Princeton Planning Commission?
I'll make that motion.
I have a motion. Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
And opposed? The ayes have it.
Thank you. Thank you, Mary. Brian Hancock's here with us, representing Epic Insurance, our county insurance, and our liability insurance renewal. Welcome.
Thank you.
Thanks, sir.
Montgomery.
Lauren, how you doing?
Spindler.
Thank you.
So we'll try to keep this as simple as I can. There's a lot of information here. Big fan, and anytime we're talking about municipal insurance, I know on your agenda, it knows liability, but we're gonna talk all about property, commercial auto, several sections on liability. Okay, so the spreadsheet on the right hand of your folder is really where I'm gonna focus primarily. Mr. Keith's in this process before.
Yeah.
I think it can be, I call it scintillating, right? Just but at the same time, when we're talking municipal insurance, something I really want to be aware of, particularly President Fleetwood and becoming on as commissioners. It's kind of, I'm a big fan of education. I think it's important for you to know as the leaders of your community, on behalf of your taxpayers, what you buy it, how that knowledge of those dollars being allocated, and how cost is impacted, whether it's claim or the overall marketplace. So here's the first thing I'll tell you. We at Epic Insurance, we do a lot of business with municipalities. I have a lot of municipalities, primarily in southwestern Indiana, some in southern Illinois. We have seen dramatic cost inflation within the municipal arena. We've been able to hold yours relatively intact. We're going to talk about some of that, although you're going to see a price impact. I will tell you that if you look at the jurisdiction that we're in, the jurisdictional district, you're not seeing a lot of what we call the nuclear verdicts that are starting to hit municipalities. But we are seeing a lot of activity across the country as it relates to municipalities and litigation that's coming. That is impacting the global marketplace, particularly across our country. Again, the good news, because of the jurisdiction we're in the Midwest, we're not as impacted as severely, but it is impacting the industry overall. Okay, so if I'm in your seat, I would say lower Princeton, Indiana. We're not Chicago, we're not Miami, we're not even Indianapolis, and you're not. You absolutely are not. What I would tell you is that we are seeing trickle down effects, though, as it relates to municipal risk. So what I'm going to do is, on again the spreadsheet on your right, the nice thing about how this spreadsheet's laid out is it's got line numbers, and that helps me kind of direct you as much as I can. I'm not going to do this in its entirety, but I'm going to direct you to key line. And so I'm going to start, for example, on a line 6. So line 6, that $36,887,307. That is the limit of insurance as it pertains to all buildings and or similar type properties owned by Gibson County. What I will do for you is direct you to the pocket to the left side of the packet. You'll notice in there what we call a statement of value. We like to allocate this to you as much as we can. If you were to look at those 3 pages and you were to look at each location as an allocated value to it in terms of what we deem to be replacement cost, if the building or the structure were destroyed by any peril we cover, fire, lightning, windstorm, you name it, earthquake, et cetera, which you do have, those are the limits allocated to each building. And you go to page 3 of that statement of values, and you'll notice they're highlighted in yellow. It's got your total as it relates to building, business, personal property. Numbers will correspond after the time. Why? In case you have one. When you look at the limits of insurance on that statement of value, or as we may have a specific limit to a building. I'll use as an example, Courthouse Square, 101 North Main. You'll notice the building limit allocated there is $10,485,000. And contractors come in and say, guess what? It's going to take $12.2 million to rebuild that building at a major fire. The blanket limit, as denoted on your spreadsheet, at $36,887,000. Your agreement with the carriers, you have what's called blanket agreed value. So it's a contractual agreement between you and the insurance carrier. So the beauty of that is, quite frankly, it helps me lay my head down at night as much as it does yours. Because what they'll do is they'll draw from that blanket limit to offset that underinsured amount on that bill. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It's the right way to do it, the proper way to do it, certainly for you as stewards of your taxpayers, you wanted that. I will tell you that when you look at that statement of values, there are a couple of items on there that we want to be aware of. A couple in particular would be the monuments on the town square. So one of the things that came up in our discussion last year is you guys have your, I believe you have your war memorial document over there, or I'm sorry, war memorial statue over there, and you have one other monument. And so there's been some concern in the past, Commissioner Key will recall this, where there was concern about the values on that. And you were concerned, do we really have that war memorial document insured enough? So when we look at buildings, you look at hard structure buildings, and we look at all the variables that go into that. Construction type, number of stories, foundation, all the major mechanics, wiring, plumbing, we can go in and determine the replacement cost of the building. Monuments like that are a little more dicey in terms of how that's evaluated. So last year, we brought to you the idea, this company called CBIZ. It's a third party that we can access. There are others out there. What we do recommend to you, for example, that war memorial currently is insured for, that's on the statement of values, to $705,000. There was some concern at a meeting last year where you said, I'm not sure we can replace that for $705,000. If that's something you want to look at, we can provide the services to do that. Just want you to know that, because those are things I get that are valuable to your taxpayers because they're memorial type of structure. So just an FYI, I'm going to go back to the primary spreadsheet. Anything you see highlighted in yellow is really a change in policy terms. So one of the things we've seen in property insurance municipalities, we'll notice your deductible, previous year was $5,000, this year is $10,000. A lot of that with values in terms of deductible inflation. I'm going to slide down to line number 19. This is a big deal for you as a steward again, and for your taxpayers. Most insurance carriers will mandate a 10% deductible on earthquake. So where I just said you have a $10,000 deductible above for fire and lightning and windstorm and all those other major type perils, earthquake, you have a flat $50,000 deductible. Now, if you look at saying, wow, that's steep. Here's the winner for you, okay? Most policy forms for earthquake will say that your earthquake deductible is mandated at 10% of the value of your property, not 10% of the loss. So I'm going to go back real quick to that statement of value. As an example, if you were to look at the Courthouse Square building again, insured for $10,485,000, most insurance carriers would mandate that you have a 10% deductible there. That would translate to $1,048,514. Chubb, through the carriers we have you with, is a $50,000 flat per location deductible. So in the event of a major catastrophe, it's going to help you. Now, if you have multiple locations, I get it, that's going to add up. But if you were to look at 10% of your blanket limit,
If you lost everything in this county, which God forbid you did, and if you do in an earthquake like that, Mr. Crowley already talked about it, your deductible will be $3,688,000 versus $50,000 per location.
Big difference between 50,000 and 950,000
Big time.
deductible, big difference.
Big difference. So that's a nice provision that Shell offers you. Most of our municipal carriers, I'll tell you, so every year we go to the market and gauge that. We have access to every municipal carrier in the nation. It's one of our studies. Every year we gauge that, we get a pulse in the marketplace. We don't have any other carrier out there. It is a benefit. I'm gonna go, again, I'm gonna cover all this. We're going to page 2 of that form. In addition to your overall property. See there, again, I'm not gonna highlight every one of those, but you'll see as you go down, certain limits of coverage for employee theft, computer fraud, funds transfer fraud, theft and money security is not applicable, but all those other lines where you see a limit is applicable. You'll see that the cost is flat on that. Where you see inland marine, line 37. So on line 38, you'll see scheduled equipment. In your packet, again to the right, on the back end of that side, you're going to notice a list where it says Gibson County equipment. It's pretty lengthy. So one of the things we would have done prior to this meeting is we sent that to you guys. I think Andy Schaefer was able to go and kind of confirm that by law. So that should be current. But we always ask you to review that. What we don't want to do is not be accountable for a piece that maybe is not on the list and all of a sudden there's a loss and it's not sure. We want to make sure that you review that in its entirety. The other thing I'll remind you, buildings, contents, et cetera, off basis. Okay? Equipment's a little bit different. So when you look at the valuation on the right-hand side and you look at those values allocated to those equipment, if there's a loss on inland marine mobile equipment, they will always depreciate time of loss. So the reason that item number 1, 1999 Great Hall, current value is $210,986. If that were lost due to a peril, and an adjuster comes in and says, we can go out for a 1999 Great Hall, similar lifetime quality and appreciable value for $158,000. You aware of that? As you look at these values, you may look at that and go, yeah, that's something you want to consider if you can impact on your papers. So I would like to remind you of that.
So we really need to take care of that on our end. We need to occasionally, maybe quarterly, look at this document and make sure that our appraised values are accurate and align with the market.
Yes.
Do we do a good job as a county in reporting new purchases and?
Yeah, you do a pretty good job. We try, President Fleetwood, to follow up with that as frequent as we can with you. I would advise at a minimum quarterly and or semi-annually that by department, you're kind of reviewing it. Hey, we purchased this equipment, have we notified our insurance?
Sure.
Now, one of the things on your automobile section, when I get to, you have what's called a $100 rate that enables you to add autos throughout the time and not notify us. So we get reconciled to the account. So that's an advantage on the auto. So the equipment you're collecting, you should review that throughout.
I think it'd fall under this crime, but what about ransomware?
You know, we get that.
It's like- Okay.
We're gonna talk about this. It's a hot topic.
And Brian, just out of curiosity, what's the best route? And maybe it's already in place, I'm just not aware, but what's the best route to update our list or update our values or maybe communicate? Is it just to go directly through your office?
It is, and one of the things, President Fleetwood, I would offer is, I like to do, I get you guys all busy, right? I like to do quarterly or semi-annual reviews. I'll be glad to sit down with your department heads. Department heads are doing it as well. But we can integrate some of our team to come in and sit down and review it with. If that's the process.
Well, that's quite an offer. Thank you. I believe they're doing a pretty good job with it, and hearing you say the same thing leads me to believe that too. So I'd like to give them an opportunity to review it and just make them aware. Maybe it's in the form of a memorandum that we send out to them, reminding all of them, this is something we need to stay on top of and keep it up to date. So.
If you got a key point person, Andy Schaefer's done a great job so far. So Andy might be the guy.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Thank you.
So, you see scheduled equipment on line 38, You see other coverage related to miscellaneous tools and equipment. You see under line 48, specific to fleet and ambulance miscellaneous equipment. We got $1,641,000 included in that above limit allocated to sheriff's department and ambulance. Okay, so just keep that in mind. That should be on the list. I think Sheriff probably got that. So, so Chubb is writing all property and marine. Now let's go to the liability section, because this is where, certainly when you're looking at liability, it's a big deal. There's different sections for municipality. You've got your general liability, line 53. So I get it. You guys have support from community protection, but you are a municipality. Again, if we see nuclear verdicts going up the ladder, these limits anymore are not necessarily, they're getting tapped a lot. We're seeing people blow through these limits. So you see a $1 million limit on line 53. That's going to be your slips and falls, bodily injuries. They come and they want to file a claim against the county. What I'll direct you to real quick, and we'll come back to this a couple times, is on, this is going on the 5th page, line 155. No, $5 million limit. That's above that $1 million limit on the liability we have. Okay, that's how it's going. All those other limits, I'm going back to line 53, all those other limits below that, as it relates to general liability, fall into place automatically with a $1 million limit. We're on line 60. It's a big deal for municipalities. Special use and all. Kind of park department programs. Then children, obviously, it's use and all. Five, you have what's called employee benefit liability. So obviously, you provide benefits to your employees. If there were an error or an omission in the enrollment of an employee or employee benefit plan of some sort, they have a major medical claim or another type of benefit claim, and they weren't enrolled properly, come back against you, you're protected. Moving down line 70, big deal. The optics on this line, you're going to notice cost inflation. Law enforcement liability. This is no reflection on Gibson County. The sheriff's department does a great job. We are seeing this nationwide. All you have to do, and again, you're not Chicago, you're not Dallas, you're not Miami, you're not Denver, you're Princeton, Indiana. Retro to 2020, all things civil disruption in the country. The optics on law enforcement liability are an all-time high. The litigation against law enforcement is an all-time high, whether that is excessive use of force, allegation, whether that is false imprisonment, false arrest, allegation. The other thing that falls under that line, good or bad, you all know this very timely on your agenda about your correctional facility. I was excited about that when you was any guy, because when we talk about correctional facilities, the #1 issue in our country for county jails, overcrowded and understaffed, the wastefall is the byproduct of what we're doing in today's world, right? So that's impact. So some of the things, Jason, you and I talked about it, Commissioner Fleetwood, you and I talked about it, is you guys continue to implement protocol in the jail, hourly cell checks and different things that you can do in a written protocol that you can implement will impact that line somewhat in the future. The key is this: you have a line 76 with a $25,000 deductible on law enforcement liability. That's a big number. That's an example of a number that one, if you get that written protocol and it's implemented, and you know you're doing it, you might be able to reduce that. Okay, that makes sense.
Yes, sir.
But again, the optics on that line are brutal. So when you look at that cost inflation, that's not punitive to Gibson County. It's an issue with the industry for long.
I appreciate your clarification on that too, because we do have an outstanding sheriff's department. And, what we're seeing is it's not a Gibson County problem as much as it is a national issue, with overcrowdedness and folks having to take a look carefully at their facilities and how they meet the state requirements and federal requirements. So you're right. That's a very good point. I appreciate you bringing that to our attention.
But understand, long, prolonged. Back to blue, back to blue. And they do a heck of a job in our country. They're being applauded for that. Fortunately, this line will get impacted.
Sure.
So line 179. So this is everyone that I'm looking at, whether you're a commissioner, whether you're appointed to a committee, whether you're the county auditor, everybody that's considered a public official by definition under the guise of the county. You have what's called public affairs, public officials, there is no mission liability. So anything you do in public service, Every decision you make, protocol you implement, procedure, et cetera, be held liable for that. If there's an issue that resolved or comes down the road that was impacted by that implementation, they can name litigation against you as commissioner, anybody, and it's on committee, et cetera, anything that flows up through the county, bylaws as far as county structure, including legal, is subject to that. So you have $1 million protection there, plus the umbrella is $5 million. You'll have $6 million. I'm going to drop down, it's a $10,000 deductible. The other thing I'll point out real quick, the highlight under law enforcement, big deal. You have an additional layer of insurance coverage for defense limit outside the limit as proposed. Most policies will include it inside the limit. Traveler says we'll give you outside the limit. Same thing for public officials, you know. Line 87, employment-related practices liability. So again, that could be anything from false termination, discrimination, sexual harassment, 988 conformance for employees. You would incur an allegation or litigation from an employee. You're protected. Makes sense? I'm going to go to line 98. So, you guys are number of units higher than that has a cost impact. The other thing you'll note, if you go back to line 188 to 197, 98, you're going to find that shows you all the additions we made. So you guys added some larger vehicles, traded out some smaller, added some newer, traded out some older, and you're up 4 units. So obviously there's a material impact there. Line 99, so those vehicles on the road, there's $1 million limit on the auto liability, but the umbrella goes over the top of that too. So if you're heavy trucks or any other vehicle that you can't rolling down the road, it's $6 million liability. Okay, covers medical, payments for passengers, you get all that. Jason, you had asked about. If we look at line 110, there's a specific reason why I have that in red. First of all, you saw a nominal increase on that, which is good, which is rare. If you read the news, you watch the news, pick up the newspaper, this nation's getting just horribly black all over the side of the liability issue. Everything you see from line 111 all the way over to line 142, those are different coverage sections for your cyber liability. If you municipality, you never want to go without it. We've seen dramatic cost inflation on the side. You'll know you have a nominal cost. Here's what I would tell you, here's why it's in red. One of the things that the carrier has noted that we're going to recommend to the county, this is true, it may with your county or your mom and pop retail shop. If you got cyber and you've heard of multi-factor authentication, dual authentication. I have it in my office, I log in my computer, it's in the notes of my cell phone, I can respond on my cell phone, so I use my computer, it's multi-factor, dual factor. That way you got. So I'll tell you that in the future, passwords are probably going to go away. That's the future of IT. There will be a day password will exist no more. Dual authentication will be the #1 way, and that will decrease cyber risk. The carrier has noted that they're going to, it's actually a demand that gives the county implement and mandate in that. The question becomes, do you have a third-party IT provider or is that internal?
Third party.
Third party.
Consulting.
Okay, great group. So what I recommend, has there been discussion about MFA?
That is again,
Multi-factor authentication or dual authentication.
I'm sure there, not that I'm aware of, I doubt that there has been.
What's going to happen, Jason, your question, great question. Because, so you've got first party and third party covered in cyber. So first party says there's direct damage or harm to the county and your infrastructure. So forensics and all that, and look at your system and find out where the breach was and take care of it. Third party liability says there's sensitive data in your system. It gets breached. Somebody's financially detrimentally harmed because of the information they acquired from your database. That's third party. The bigger deal, Jason, thank you for the question. If you look at, if you get to line 128, highlighted in yellow for a reason. The word says extortion. So that's where they go into your system. They encrypt your system. They lock it. Say if you want your data, you're going to pay us $180,000. Get it. That's cyber extortion. You have a $1 million limit. which quite frankly is rare. Most of our carriers are only offering $250 supplement there. Again, MFA has to be in. Line 131, the reason those two are highlighted, these are the two most common claims. We see cyber extortion and we see social engineering. Social engineering would be the example where they go in and they capture your email. So I would tell you, I'm a little geeky about this. I've done a lot of research. Cyber thieves are more sophisticated than they've ever been. They're watching you every day on your phone, they're watching you every day on your personal computer, they're watching you every day on your county computers. They go in and they watch Commissioner Fleetwood, they watch how you phrase sentences, they watch how you take your emails, they look at how you sign off, they capture your signature page. They send an email to Kay Boyd from you, you're in Florida, hey, smarter than this, Kay would come to you and go, why did you really send this? But she said, she thinks it's an email from you because it looks like you, it spells like you, it sounds like you, and it's got everything you would normally say. You say, Kat, I need you to wire $30,000 for this location. He does that. You come back to Florida, he says, hey, Mr. Cleveland, I sent that money. You go, what money are you talking about? These cyber thieves and social engineering, they go in and they capture all that information. And then they send an email.
Pretty slick, aren't they?
Too slick, scary.
Yeah.
That limit, though, you'll notice a sub limit of $100,000. Okay, so be aware of that. Why is that? Some carriers are offering $250. We lobby for that because that's such a high frequency of claim type. Carriers are not offering $1 million. On extortion, that may drop in the future. Overall, overarching comment would be, and I'll help you with this. We need to consult with Paris Consulting because MFA, the carriers noting for them to stay on the cyber. They got to have MFA.
Do you know what kind of deadline they're expecting?
Jason, we're pushing on that. They're saying 30 days after renewal. So that's 7-1 renewal. So that'll be 8 months. So really, you got to take it 45 days. Doesn't mean you can't get cyber. It just means they're going to want that. We can do dialogue on that.
Are a lot of your municipalities going to this multi-factor identification? I mean, to me, it makes sense for more reasons than just helping out on the insurance.
Yeah, so most municipalities are, for obvious reasons. From an insurable standpoint, again, it goes back to the future, not going to be passwords, it'll be MFA. Is that cyber carriers are taking a hardline stance in the market, basically, and going MFA, we won't be cyber. That's the direction it's going. And that's very true. Municipalities, large and small, in every other county, right, there is cyber. It's a big deal.
Sorry. So the ransomware coverage or the extortion limit. Let's say somebody in Russia hijacks all of our data and they want $100,000 or $1 million, $2 million. Are you paying that ransom? Is that what it is? Or are you paying to fix the problems that they've brought to our system afterwards?
Combination of all. So,
Okay.
because you have $1 million limit, they're demanding $1 million, you're gonna get tapped pretty quick. Okay. So here's how that works. Right? So I've had some cyber clients. I've watched this unfold. First one I had, this was New Year's Day, 2018. I was on watching college football like I always do on New Year's Day. My phone rings. This is not even a municipality, but you guys are a high target. This was a small nonprofit in Evansville, Indiana, counseling center, a lot of sensitive data. They go in and encrypted the system, locked it up. I get the call from the client panic. So we had to, even for that small case, we had to bring in forensics, the adjuster, the FBI. And so the carrier IT pros were out in California. So they got involved in the mix. The FBI comes in, you have a really good backup, Jason, particularly if it's an off-site backup. Okay, the off-site backup. Typically what will happen is the FBI will come in and the forensics will come in and go, okay, you got all this stuff backed up, it's safe over here. So even though they've encrypted it and tell you they can't, if you can't get it, you can't get it, you just backed up. So in that instance, the FBI basically told the hijackers, you can just go jump in lake, they're not paying you. But the good news is our client had really good backup. Now, they did not prohibit the fact that forensics had to go in and do their job. They had to bring an IT specialist to go in and confirm the breach, repair the breach, and then implement procedures. That claim was $48,000 for nonprofit. Municipalities, we're seeing an average across this country daily of extortion claims being paid anywhere from $500,000 to $2 million daily.
So we should consider ramping that number up then, that coverage.
You should, and so if you look at, again, so if you look at your cost to that line allocated in the red on line 110, it's not cheap. It's $2 million, like MFA is non-negotiable anyway. You get $2 million. Question there, get that in front. That makes sense.
Where's a lot of the extortion coming from? Is it, I mean, there's a lot of media out there that addresses Eastern Europe, but is that the standard? Is that where a lot of it's coming from, or is it coming from within house? Is it coming from within North America, or?
Almost all of it's overseas. So if you look at the large profile national case target on Vigo, Anthem Insurance, some of those larger ones, the target case was a 17-year-old sitting overseas in the Middle East. 17.
Mhm. Some kid at the Crooks probably
Major
taught,
breach.
brought him up to speed on. Mhm.
Okay, so it's. These
Oh, yeah.
guys are scary, okay, this guy.
Sure.
So again, I'm not here to give you something to do. I'm just telling you that if you look at what's going on in the country with what happened with the pipeline and everything else. Most experts would say the next major terrorist attack in the US would be a cyber attack, the major infrastructure, major electrical grids across the eastern half of the United States.
Well, this is an enlightening bit of information here, and I'm going to challenge you just a little further with this, and I'll keep it brief. But so, you know, we now know it as the WWW, right? The World Wide Web. And you're a self-proclaimed computer guy of having computer interest and internet interest. Do you think it's in our lifetime we'll see maybe some confines to that? Maybe a NAWW, North America Wide Web? I mean, is it becoming so risque that we may have to provide not physical walls, but parameters, if you will?
It'd be difficult to separate it from the World Wide Web. The way it's structured, I think it'd be difficult. The cyber team is sophisticated enough to understand.
What's the First Amendment?
What's that?
You have people.
Yeah, good point, great point.
And how are you going to limit satellites, right?
No.
I mean, Musk is already working on all these satellites. Our internet's going to come from satellites. Some already is, but I'm saying there will be more.
Correct.
Mhm.
The changing world. So again, we need to camp on that topic. Your question, you got covered, but MFA's got to be implemented, okay? It's going to be an item we need to just talk about the next couple of weeks and maybe get with Parrish, whoever you want to direct to. Okay, so I talked about, so you guys have drone liability coverage. You guys have a drone, we have $1 million of drone coverage, liability coverage. And then you come down to the umbrella I talked about. So in line 157, if that shows you everything the umbrella extends over, you want to know that. We get out of the premium allocation, go on 169. You can see that's a 10% impact. If you look at that, I would say some of that again, the auto, we got new units. Most of that impact were in two key lines that I denoted prior, which would be the employment practices section, the law enforcement legal liability, and then the auto we talked about because of insurance. A lot of information. Any other questions, concerns? You also have, just last note, you have an auto fleet listing in there. That's a 2-page document, every auto on site.
Oh, yeah.
Regardless of department, sheriff, ambulance. It's allocated here, EMA as an example, it's allocated by department. The second column. Give you a lot of data. Well, it really wasn't that quick, but I wanted to be educated.
Good. Do you have anything else to offer to us, or any direction for moving forward here? What are you looking for this evening?
Well, so obviously, there were no 7-1, so I know a lot of times, commissioners meeting, I don't know, you need to dialogue on that, get back to us with an executive session, or we do that tonight. Again, I'll tell you, The Travelers and Sheldon Floyd will be two primary carriers. We write a lot of municipal insurance, we write a lot of different carriers. For counties, Travelers is one of the best because they know how to handle the jail issues and everything else. You can build them up. But they'll continue to hone down on requirements, written protocol. So I don't know, President Fleetwood, if that is something you vote on tonight or you go.
Heard throughout your presentation, I heard a few questions from Attorney Spindler about some coverage, and maybe some of my fellow commissioners have questions or concerns too. I'm going to lean on them for a moment and just ask them if they have any questions, or if Mr. Spindler, you think we need to table it and address some of maybe our shortages of coverage.
That would be my recommendation. Yeah, I'm particularly worried about the cyber amount. Because we've had some noteworthy incidents here in Indiana. I can't remember if it was Muncie, Kokomo, but there's been some noteworthy attacks. And I don't know that 1 million would cut it. I wouldn't feel comfortable with that.
I'll tell you, unfortunately, it is what it is. A lot of municipal clients only have aluminum. Even our large ones have like 3 to 5. And some of the breaches I've seen, as you've noted, significantly larger. Most municipalities, when it comes down to it, they find it cost prohibitive to increase. But I also would tell you, there's no such thing as too much when it comes to that line, unfortunately. But again, your stewards, your taxpayers, and I respect that.
Sure.
Still do stuff.
I appreciate the feedback on that. Sounds like that's been vented before with your office.
For sure. It is the hottest topic we have going.
Mhm.
Well, and we need to talk to Parrish
Yeah.
about the FMA and get that. But we also don't have much time to do it.
I mean, what you could always do is renew the coverage 7/1, you can come back
Right.
and endorse and implement.
Mhm.
It's gonna auto renew anyways, right? With or without us taking action.
Yeah.
Again, we will auto renew. I assume you've got the vote for the auto renewal, then we would notify travelers that you've agreed to renew. And then, yes, we think, but it can be endorsed, addressed at any time.
Attorney Spindler, do you think we should go ahead and put it to motion to accept the auto renew and then come back to Brian with any kind of updates or changes to the policy?
Yeah, I'm okay with that. Yeah. Yeah.
Commissioner Key, are you good with that?
But yeah, it's gonna, on some of this, it's gonna take a little more time than what we have without an auto renewal. And just to make sure so we don't have to change something several times or whatever. I think it would be wise to do the auto renewal and, get it going and put what we need in place and what we can afford.
Commissioner Montgomery, do you have any further discussion? If not, I'll entertain a motion to accept the auto renewal for our county insurance through Epic.
I'll make that motion. To find a little bit more about it.
Yeah, well, I mean, we have to have it.
Yeah.
They've always, I'll have to brag on you. You have done well by us. So,
Got a motion made and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
I
Aye. Thank you very much. I appreciate all the information too.
Do you want this report regarding those?
That'd be great.
appraisals?
That'd be great. And something that was left out there earlier, and that is we are working from the county's end on some of the steps we need to do to bring down our costs. And I know Attorney Spindler has already worked on some documents that will provide you with the evidence you need to be able to go back and say they are making some adjustments or they're taking some strides to bring their costs down. So,
And that puts us in a good position for next year too, if we go back to the market.
yes, sir. We're trying to be good stewards of the taxpayer dollars and bring those premiums down and do everything we can. So, and I appreciate you affording us the opportunity. You know, you're an active agent. Appreciate you coming to us and saying, these are some ways you can bring your costs down. And that's worth a lot to Gibson County.
Thank you. We're here for
Thank you, sir.
it.
Sheriff Tim Bottom, cell repair.
You've got a couple of information provided for you. Sometime here recently, few weeks, we've had an inmate that's done a lot of damage to the padded cell floor. And we went, Lieutenant Zachary contacted his padded surfaces by B&E, see about repairing the floor. And he sent pictures to them for them to look at. And looking at the pictures and the information they were provided, they said that we better off just replace the floor. And we got a quote for that cost, removing the existing damaged floor and replace with new detention surface, padding system, manufactured padding surfaces, $6,825. Let's see how you guys want to. Also, just for information, I don't know where it's gonna go. But charges were filed on the inmate for the damage to the county property. And also, each one included the reimbursement. Now, whether we'll get any reimbursement or not, that's, long story.
Fellow commissioners, I think the request is $6,825 to be paid for the padding.
Well, I mean, we need it. I know Tim's budget is short, but also I don't, without really studying, I don't know, because it'd have to come out of our edit budget probably. Or without looking at our budget, whether we could afford any of it, you know, at this point in time. It has to be done though.
Yeah, it's gonna have to be done, because if the, materials damaged were fluids or food particles to get in there, as you call it.
Right, right.
So it's gonna have to be repaired.
But, you know, as far as taking it out of any budget besides his budget at this point in time, I don't know. I'd have to look at what we've got and where we've got it.
Yeah.
I wish I could tell you, but without studying, I don't know.
Well, that last repair that we made on the water softener that you guys approved, I guess take it out on the budget. That was over $15,000.
Right.
And right now, as of this morning, when I looked, paying some other bills, I'm just shy over $20,000 left in my budget for the year. If I take this out, it's gonna give me about $13,000 to last the next
6 months.
year.
And that,
And you know what kind of bills I pay every.
oh yeah. I mean, that's, yeah, you've been hit pretty hard this year on some major stuff. And, yeah, I'm not opposed to, looking at it and that and see what we do have, but I just don't know right now. I mean, make the commitment with using your funds and trying to find it elsewhere if you need to go ahead and get it ordered. I mean, that's the best I can come up with right now without, having the ability to look at it.
Right, put it up, then you can make your money.
So,
What we do for the room and in the meantime, just not use it, or?
Just have to use it, do the best we can do with it.
and unfortunately, when these things start to It's kind of like, once your dog gets a hold of the stuffed animal, the stuffing just keeps coming out.
So you don't know if there'd be any place we could take it from?
Well, I'd have to look and see what money we have and what some of it's committed to already.
Yeah.
What about your building fund?
Do what?
What about your?
Well, I don't know where we stand on that either, because we've had a couple major hits on that already too. I mean, it's just a matter to me of looking to see where the best possibility of, getting it at the present time. Because I know at some point, if we throw it at you, you'll probably have to come back to the council on that, or hey, we're gonna have to have money. And that may be yeah, I know the record of that one. That usually happens, anyway. And unfortunately, this year, you guys have taken some major hits.
You guys not do the same thing, go to council for.
Yep, we do.
Tim, let us see where we can find the money. Maybe we can get it to you. 'Cause we gotta get this done too.
But yeah,
We gotta have a place to put. people.
Yeah.
The room.
All right. Community correction grant. I have a letter I drafted here. Just reads, the Gibson County Board of Commissioners have adopted and approved the Community Corrections Adult Grant for the fiscal year 2021, 2022. And it's being forwarded to the Indiana Department of Corrections. And I've already signed it, taking the liberty to sign it, but if you'd like to explain it a little, that'd be greatly appreciated. And
Community corrections, we have worked really in on detention, their grant and about 43% of our money every year. Back folks here to get the commissioner's approval and blessing to carry on and apply for a grant again for 2022.
greatly appreciate what you're doing to help the county out and bring money in to our sheriff's department. And at this time, I'd entertain a motion to approve the grant.
Also move.
Got a motion made.
This is something we've done for years.
Second.
Second. Good. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Oh, thank you. We appreciate what you're doing for the county.
Sir.
Have a good evening. Steve Bentley, Health and Welfare Evaluation. Mr. Bentley, are you here this evening? Don't believe he is present. Okay. And do we have any other business, Mr. Spindler?
We advertised for fuel bids. These run for 6 months at a time. So this will start July 1 and go to the end of the year. We only received one bid. This was the time and date for opening the bids. That one bid that we received is from Wabash Valley Service Company out of Grayville, Illinois.
It's one we've used for a long time, isn't it?
Mhm.
87 octane, $2 and 2.636. So $2.64 rounding up. 89 octane, $2.74. Again, rounding to the 10th decimal point. Diesel premium on road, $3.02. Diesel gold off-road, $2.52. And that's it. So I would recommend approval of that bid this evening for those rates that I just read into the record.
I'll make that motion that we approve the bids.
We have a motion made. Do we have a second for our fuel?
Second.
And a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, Mr. Spindler. And I noticed Cecil Bob had his hand up back here. Cecil
Yes, sir.
Bob?
Well, I've got a curiosity question. I was reading in the paper the other day on our new YMCA, that it'd be named the Toyota YMCA. my curiosity is, Toyota spent $1 million, or give, Trainer does $1 million. The citizens of Gibson County trying to do $13 million. So, if the citizens of Gibson County get a little more credit for 13 and then one, and don't get me wrong, Toyota's been very good to this county. In several ways, they've been very, very good to our county. But I think there's a little recognition needs to be made. Because this is Patoka Township and Union Township money that you're using to build that place.
Actually, I think it's Toyota Gibson County.
I don't care.
Well, but I'm saying, but it's
Yeah.
Toyota hyphen Gibson County.
You know, that raises a good question, I think, in regards to what is actually advertised. And I went to the event where they announced the 1,400 new jobs, and I went to that ceremony. And some of their preliminary drawings cast Toyota YMCA, and I have had, you see, so you're not the only one that's inquired about that. I have had a few phone calls about that, folks wanting to know that very question. They're wanting an answer to it. I want to know why, who chose the name, and what were the merits based on? Was it based on capital donations, or what was it based on? How did they get their name on it, so to speak? And I really don't have an answer for that. I was not included in that process.
Well,
I don't think none of us were.
I don't think any of us were.
I'd almost say it came out of the YMCA. If I had to guess, that's where I'd say it came from. I think you as commissioners could have some input on this too.
Mhm.
And like I said, I think Gibson County citizens need a lot of recognition in this project. And like I said, don't get me wrong, Toyota's been very, very good to us in Gibson County. They've made a lot of donations and helped us out a lot. And we out the county fair. The citizens of Gibson County give $4 million for that place.
Yes, sir.
And whose name's on it?
Mhm.
I think it's a valid question. And I also think that we have a very strong partnership with Toyota.
Oh, absolutely. There's no doubt in my mind.
I appreciate the way you're addressing. I really do, with a level of sensitivity, because they are great partners to us. And yet we know the county has contributed 13 some million on behalf of the Gibson County residents. It's not our money. It's not our money per se. It's the Gibson County residents.
Curiosity question. Sure.
And just to kind of strengthen that partnership and illustrate that for everyone in attendance, if you take a look, for instance, at the TIF that is established, and the 5 million draws a year, $10 million a year, essentially over the course of 25 years. I've done a little research on this. That adds up to a lot of money, and a significant portion of those monies were given to Toyota to strengthen our partnership and to support that industry. So again, the taxpayers, the commissioners, and in general, I think the Gibson County citizens support Toyota wholeheartedly. But we also think that I think I should only speak for myself here, actually.
Credit where it's due.
Right. I think it merits conversation or dialogue. What do you think about this name? What do you think about going forward here? And so.
I mean, this is going to be a really nice project.
Sure is,
Yeah.
sure is.
And, and I think Gibson County YMCA.
To me, it sounds.
Sounds better, don't it?
It's wording like you could go Gibson County YMCA sponsored by Toyota. And that would sound, well, it's wording,
All right.
somewhere around there that I agree with what he's saying. He's got a valid point. It's really not sponsored by Toyota, but.
Well, I had one gentleman suggest to me that maybe they, name the gym after Toyota, which I think would be very honorable in this instance. I don't know, Brian, if you'd like to chime in, maybe you'd like to chime in too, but Brian, don't want to throw you out there but Brian is affiliated with the YMCA and he's well versed in these types of projects and
Yeah. I'm trying to separate myself just because of my.
sure.
So I'm the current board chairman for the Y, current board president. And I would tell you that we are open as the YMCA to however that name lands ultimately. We don't really want to have a say in that. I would tell you that certainly, in our negotiation and ask to Toyota, they were very gracious to put forth $1 million. We were gracious, and we honestly did not foresee the TIF dollars coming at the level they did. And so there's no doubt that was a game changer, that your taxpayers stepped up with that commitment. And I would tell you that is an open dialogue in terms of how that name lands. And I think that's something that Toyota would understand wholeheartedly with proper dialogue and proper negotiation to say, hey, they got a minimum. I'm sorry, name your name. You know that you're over typing it.
oh, that's,
Well, Andrea Howe.
Yeah. I think the format would be the Toyota Gibson County YMCA, but that's to be discussed, right? I don't think that's got etched in stone. That's not, and we as the Y, we said from the beginning, even though we're the YMCA of Southwest Indiana and we're an association, this Y will be your Y. This Y will be you have your own branch board in Princeton. Almost all of them are appointed and they're Gibson County natives. And they are.
So who decides then?
Honestly,
Or I go to a different board?
well, as you dialogue, we would recommend that maybe that branch board is here. Gather all the necessary feedback and data they can, and then they can bring to our metro board, which I oversee currently for the next 8 months, and we would look at that, but ultimately, it's your one. Yes, absolutely.
Thank you.
And coming out of this meeting, quite frankly,
1 million.
I'm gonna share it with Jonathan Polk, our CEO.
very good.
This dialogue occurred in the meeting, and let's make sure that we're on top of that dialogue. And we don't let that dialogue subside, because you deserve that. It's your one.
Cecil, that was a timely question with him in attendance and everything. That was,
I planned that.
yeah. I'm sorry. Come on up here. Come on up here. Mrs. Hoppy, we didn't mean to not see you over there.
That's okay. Haven't been meeting yet, too. So I am here because the last meeting you said that you wanted to put some, have not moved the library on to redevelopment for the list together, timeline, and that kind of stuff. I'm here to get the questions and the timeline so that I can move forward.
Very good, very good. Do you have any note paper with you? And some of this you already know because you're an avid note taker. I noticed that the other night in our redevelopment meeting. But there are a few things that I learned throughout this process by just observing the redevelopment. So I'm probably not going to tell you a whole lot that's new, but since you inquired about a list or things to look into.
You told me that you would have a list of what you would like for people to bring to this meeting before you send them on to the redevelopment board.
Rephrase that again.
So at the last meeting, my understanding is that you get a list of questions together.
Oh, we do have that list. Yes, we do. But I'm not sure I actually have a hard copy of it, but we were Kay presented it to us last time, so I can definitely get you a copy of that.
And then you said you'd also make a timeline so that everybody could.
Yes, we do need to establish a timeline and I have a tentative date in mind, but let's just use this for a time for dialogue. Fellow commissioners, the tentative date I was thinking of, and this would give us a couple more meetings in both July and in August, so a total of 4 meetings to hear presenters. And if you think we need to extend it farther out, I'm fine with that. But I was thinking maybe September, that would give us 4 meetings to hear presentations and to get the word out to folks that we're making a list of prospective projects. Mr. Spindler, if you want to weigh in on this too, I mean, honestly, if you think it's too short or too long, give me some direction here.
I think it's too long because especially with the libraries, they need to get working. They need to kind of find out where they stand. They have the ability to go after some grants and that hopefully, and they may need to know some of the answers to the questions that would consider if they get TIF money. Because I know some of them are
And
a little
I agree with
weird.
that. See, I agree with that because, it's budget season, we don't know that.
Right.
And, we have purchased land and it's stretching our budget, and so,
Yep.
I'm starting to get in a hard spot, so, yeah, waiting isn't my favorite.
Well, you don't, you've got a little bit of time to tweak a budget, but not a whole lot of time to tweak a budget. Because their libraries are just like the county. They got to get it to the state on a certain date.
That's true.
They go through the same process that we do and the cities do.
So if I understand it correctly, if every project that's been presented after the two that have been forwarded to the redevelopment commission are the Fort Branch Community Center and
Senior
Prince
center.
and
Senior
Senior
citizens.
Center is some part of their project, yes.
Right.
The TIF dollars will not be available in the near future, even if the project was forwarded to them. Because the dollars that they're gonna have coming in momentarily are allocated already to those projects. So
But as a library, we are looking at a bridge loan, or something of that.
so you could
sort.
use it for the banking purposes if,
Right. And for your grant writing, if I'm not mistaken on some of them at least, that, potential for, sometimes it helps get your grant money.
Yeah.
So the grants I'm running into are, well, you don't have the building paid for, that you can't get a grant for furniture or books or computers, right? So I'm in a limbo. And a lot of the grant money for the building has been frozen due to COVID.
Yeah.
Why? I don't know. Why it's still not available.
So I'm prepared to go forward with the libraries. We know the libraries qualify. We've qualified at libraries before. I guess it'd be the amount because they both need a lot of money. So, but, waiting up until September or that is way too long, I
I
think.
think so too.
Fair enough. I'll allow you to set the parameters and I'm really very flexible on the timeline. I meant what I said, so.
Well, to me, we've been talking about this stuff for a long time already. Pretty much if anybody wants to bring anything else forward, we give them by the end of July. If they can't get their act together on that, they've had plenty of time to think about it. And, as I've stated before, I'm not sure who all would even qualify because there are parameters out, set. So,
So I will get a list of questions from you.
Have them in hand.
And I'll see you at the end of July. Okay, thank you.
Very good. Thank you. Do we have anyone else that was want to come forward?
Just here, my board, Mr. Board, the estimates for the RH Center in Ozone. I'm just here to answer any questions you have about it. Also, I'm not looking for, obviously, you guys want to present financial systems for the entire thing would be great, but anything that you would be willing to do is appreciated.
well, your total that you came with was like 23 something, wasn't it? 27. Well, I had 3, right? Well, I don't have it in front of me, I got it back in my office. So, and well, just like told her, everything's a good thing and that, but as Mr. Spindler said, right now, you know, near money is not there. It's basically already spent. And I'd have to look at it and then see, you know, when some of it would become available. But that doesn't, you know, prevent any saying, you know, okay, let's just send it to them and go from there and see what happens.
Right, that's probably
So,
just your looking at it would be appreciated.
yeah,
Understand, and you may want to reach out to Laura or maybe Bill Knapp or even like a Brian Hancock. I don't want to just offer these folks up to you, but these folks have sort of been through the process already. And they understand that you have to have a lending institution, you know, you have to have a bank that it's going to go along with you throughout the process. And Laura had requested a copy of these questions. I'd like to get you a copy too before you leave tonight. So there's a lot, I'm sure there's a lot that they've learned or their organizations have learned. And really, I'll take Brian off the hook there because he has a longer drive, but we could put you in touch with Laura and definitely Bill Knapp. He's working on a project and the senior center, Bill Tooley, he'd be a good one to talk to, or Julia, who's in charge of the senior center. These folks are in the trenches and working through this process and they could steer you in the right direction along with these questions too, but so we'll get you that information. Thank you. Are there any other items to come before the commissioners tonight? All right, I'll accept a motion to adjourn.
I'll make that motion.
second.
And second, all in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Thank you for coming this evening.